Hello everybody and welcome to another lyrical breakdown. Whoop 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 with me, your lady friend Bonnie. I am happy to be here. I hope you guys are too. I'm excited about this week, as I am most weeks, I suppose. But yeah, I'm excited. I've discovered something new. I'm excited to share it and see what you guys think about it. But first, let's get into like all the basic stuff we have to go through. I would like to thank Mozart and Linda Williams for being our Patreons. If you guys are interested in becoming a Patreon and maybe supporting us financially a little bit in any way, you can definitely do that. There is a link down below that you can go check out, and you can check out all the perks and stuff as well. I do also have Twitter for you guys, at YLF Bonnie. I am over there waiting for you, making ridiculous remarks into the whole wide world that nobody's reading. So this song I wanted to mention is also, it was a requested artist. Although I think the song that was requested was Remember Me or something like that. And let me just double check that. Remember This. That was the one. If anybody still wants to see that, let me know down below if you're still interested in, maybe like looking into more of his music. But, let's talk about who his is. This week I am doing NF, How Could You Leave Us? And the NF stands for Nathan John Feuerstein, I believe I'm saying that. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know. You tell me. So I'm doing that one, and this is off of his album Therapy Session, which came out April 22nd, 2016. The Remember This song was the one that was requested, and I was kind of looking through some of his songs and giving like a few of them a listen, and this is the one that really it seemed really unique and very personal to him, as you'll see. And I wanted to I thought it was something a little bit different, but still relevant, that, we could talk about. So that's why I'm doing this one. So that, like I said, this came out then. And he is he's known to be, more of like a Christian rapper. Although, as much, I only listened to like a few of his songs, but I didn't, it wasn't, if you didn't tell me that he was a Christian rapper, I wouldn't know. There's not really anything that I caught, that seemed like it was godly or anything like that. It's just, he's whatever. He just sounds like normal. And a lot of people call him the Christian Eminem. So his raps are pretty good. He's pretty out there, and he is kind of a little bit, I think, into the mainstream pop scene. I think has kind of broken into that a little bit, but he's pretty emotional, and he's pretty heartfelt, and he's very honest about what he sees and what he saw. And then he's an interesting guy that I discovered because of you. So thank you very much. And next week I'll do something a little bit lighter. If you guys have any suggestions of maybe a little bit more fun songs that I could break down, leave your suggestions down below as well. I will be either selecting from them or something else that I discover along the way. Looking for something a little bit more lighthearted, I would say. Let's ease off on all the crazy, intense stuff, although I love it as well. And so, like I said, this is a hard song, in which he talks about his mom's addiction, specifically to pills. I don't know which kind of pills, and how he left, or how she left him, and I'm guessing his siblings, in suicide, and as well in a divorce situation. And so I looked up everything I could to try and find out if he actually has any sisters, because in the music video that came out that was for this song, it's basically, the whole video was just him kind of depicting what he's telling you, and everything that he's seeing, and what was kind of going on behind the scenes a little bit, and just his kind of childhood, what was going on for him. and he seems to be the oldest of 3 kids, and he's got 2 like little sisters. I couldn't find anything else. I couldn't find anything on the internet about his siblings. So I'm basing this off of the music video, which seems to be pretty like true to life, based off of this song and like his honesty in it. So I would assume that he has 2 little sisters, which he probably feels like kind of like the protector, and, you know, probably sees that maybe they get more hurt or, you know, angry about certain things. So I think he's just kind of like the, how could you leave us? So I think that that's, you know, it's like the whole family and his friends, I'm guessing, but I think it's more specific to the children. So like I said, based off of the video, I'm going with there's 3 kids, and he's the oldest and the only boy. Yeah, so yeah, let's give this song a listen.
Say you proud of me, but you don't know me that well. Sit in my room, tears running down my face.
So let's start with the intro, obviously. How could you leave so unexpected? We waited for you, but you just left us. We needed you, I needed you. So, you know, he's just kind of saying, like, you know, why would his mom leave so suddenly? How could she just do that? They were waiting for her, but she left when they needed her. You know, when you're growing up and you need, like, that mother figure, you need someone to, like, you know, teach you, you know, right from wrong. And I'm not saying that, like, a man can't do that or can't, you know, like, that role can't be filled in, but it's, you know, there is that maternal feeling, that connection that I think a mother and a kid has, you know, no matter what happens. Yeah. So I'm guessing, you know, this is just sort of about him, you know, leaving, about his mom leaving, and about, you know, that he has, you know, 2 sisters, and, you know, that there was a divorce, you know, and probably the divorce was caused because of the addiction, or maybe the divorce was the cause of the pills. But either way, she mustn't have been like the most stable woman, I guess. And I'm sure things got a lot worse for her after the divorce. You know, she probably took that pain and, you know, took the medication more often and more strong, and whatever else she was doing. Like, I didn't find out what exactly she was doing. But yeah, you know, obviously it was something bad enough to have your kids taken away from you. So they needed her, and she basically let them slip through her fingers because of the addiction she has. And so here we have verse 1. Yo, I don't know what it's like to be addicted to pills, but I do know what it's like to be a witness. It kills. Mama told me she loved me. I'm thinking this isn't real. I think of you when I get a whiff of that cigarette smell. Yeah, welcome to the bottom of hell. They say pain is a prison. Let me out of my cell. You said you proud of me, but you don't know me that well. Sit in my room, tears running down my face, and I yell. So, I mean, it's very, like, honest, right? It sounds like that. And he doesn't actually know what it's like to be addicted to pills, but he knows that it destroys and it kills, and he's seen, like, the consequence of it, I guess. And his mom told him that she loved him, but he doesn't think this scenario was real. Like, he's kind of like, maybe he's dreaming it up or whatever. And like the smell of cigarettes, and like maybe like a certain particular brand or something like that, you know, like that smell, someone, you know, he gets like a whiff of it and like instantly he's like transported back, and he thinks of her whenever he smells that. And smell has that effect on people. It's pretty amazing, actually, like the way like a scent can like stick with you for your entire life. So that makes him, you know, that he's in the hell, you know, kind of situation because she's around and because of where she's at, you know, and he also kind of maybe think that maybe he's in hell with her, you know, because maybe she's in hell because of like the bad things that happened. I mean, if he's a Christian, so maybe he thinks of things like that. I don't know. And his emotional pain is what keeps him trapped in a cell, you know, as if this is like any of like his control. Like, this is none of what happened to him was like in his control. Like, this was his, you know, his mother's issue. And then his mom's might say that she's proud of him, but, she's not around and, doesn't know him. So it's like those kind of words don't mean much to him because it's kind of like a stranger saying that you're proud of someone, but it doesn't really mean much. You kind of just are like, oh, okay, thanks, and that's it. So he's kind of just sitting alone in his room, and he's thinking about her, and it makes him angry and sad. So let's keep going. Into my pillowcases, you say, you coming to get us. Then call a minute later just to tell us you not. I'm humiliated. I'm in a room with a parent that I don't barely know. Some lady in the corner watching us while she's taking notes. I don't get it, Mom. Do you want to watch your babies grow? No, don't you want to watch your babies grow? I guess pills are more important. All you have to say is no. But you won't do it, will you? You're going to keep popping till those pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you. So he's, kind of angry and upset, and he's yelling into his pillow like the way kids are taught to. It's a way to get your anger out. And he obviously needs to. He obviously has a lot of anger issues, still, affecting him because of her. His mom says that she'll come pick them up, and, and then not long after he gets, another phone call saying that she's not coming. And, maybe she had like a hookup, for, the pills that she needed or whatever, or something like better came along. And, it gets like the kid's hopes up, and then, it really lets them down. And I'm sure that was not the first time that happened, and it's just kind of like this cyclical thing that, happens when there's like an addiction, and like a family's trying to deal with that based off of everything that I've seen. So yeah. So yeah, I think that like, he feels like humiliated. He's saying, obviously, like I said before, she's letting them down a lot, and he feels kind of like dumb for having like fallen for it again and for having believed her again. So now they only get supervised visits. So I'm guessing that there was obviously some sort of custody battle, and she kind of got, this is the best that she was going to get, I'm guessing. But he doesn't feel like, he gets like the supervised visits and that's it. And like he feels like he barely even knows his mom, that he's kind of so disconnected from her, and that there's this woman, this therapist or social worker or whatever, that's kind of sitting there writing down what's happening, like, how they're interacting, like how she's behaving or whatever, like kind of making sure that she's being okay. She's not like high around her kids, I guess. And all, he kind of says like all she has to do is just say no, like that's what like kids are taught, like just say no, like to drugs or whatever. And that's kind of like the issue, like she can just say no. So he's kind of criticizing her, and she's still going to take the pills anyways, and he's kind of like why does this keep happening? And then even though he's kind of talking to like his mom, he's like talking like out loud to her, to her spirit. He's like, even though you're gone, Mom, like, he still feels like her presence. So like, in the way that maybe like it's, I know this is probably like too far, but like maybe it's like a ghost, sort of like a presence, like, like someone that has like unfinished business, or who's like, death was like maybe untimely or something like that. So it could be like, I mean, I'm probably like over interpreting this, but like that presence that lingers on, like that you want that person, that's passed to like still be there. And, so like, I feel like most of us have, probably know someone that's, died, and, like obviously you still kind of wish that they were still around, and, it's just obviously like what he's still going through. So let's keep this going on. We'll listen to the chorus. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us here? How could you leave us here? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Oh, hey. So, I mean, it's pretty easy. He feels abandoned by his mother because of something so stupid. Really. It was a stupid reason for her not to be around. Why would you choose that? Why would you choose these pills over your children? So he's kind of just questioning her, and he has, lots of questions for her, I think, as well. He just doesn't, there's no answer, right? She's gone at this point anyways. So he just kind of has to deal with like the pain and like deal with his own thing and then move on. So verse 2, I got this picture in my room and it kills me. but I don't need a picture of my mom. I need the real thing. Now, a relationship is something we won't ever have, but why do I feel like I lost something I never had? You should have told me, you should have been there when I graduated, told me you loved me and congratulations. Instead, you left us at the window waiting. Where are you, Mom? So he has a picture, in his bedroom. And, even though it hurts, he would rather have the real thing than a picture of, his deceased mom. And, even though he wishes, that he had a relationship with his mom, like now he'll never even have that chance to for her to get better and for them to be able to get along. And, he feels like he's kind of lost something that he never had, which is, what he says. And she wasn't like a mom necessarily in the traditional sense. And, I think that that's kind of, it's a bit weird and it's a bit ostracizing, I think, as well. It kind of is different from the norm. And I think all of that and everything else that goes along with it, in dealing with someone that has an addiction, that's like a full-time job. And so it's hard to, be there and be separate from them. And then anyways, I'm just rambling. So you should have been there at his graduation, the mom, but she wasn't. So he's kind of criticizing that and kind of, saying you're going to miss out on all of these big milestones and in my life where you should have been there and where everybody else's mom is there. And he's kind of where are you, Mom? Why aren't you here? Because of some stupid pills. He's obviously obviously still upset, which is fair. So, and he almost is he's kind of angry and he wants her there, but I think he also kind of wants her punished for not being there, but he just wants her there. I think that's it, right? We're too young to understand. Where are you at, huh? Yeah, I know them drugs have you held captive. I can see it in your eyes. They got your mind captured. Some say it's fun to get high, but I'm not laughing. And what you don't realize is what you not grasping, that I was nothing but a kid who couldn't understand. I ain't gonna say that I forgive you because it hasn't happened. I thought that maybe I'd feel better as time passes if you really cared for me. Then where are you at then? Yeah. So the kids are too young. He's kind of saying I wasn't I didn't get it. He he obviously knew something was wrong, and he was just a kid, a little kid. Like I said, if you focus on the video for this song, he's probably 6 to 8. I feel no, 6 or 7, I'm gonna say. That's at least that's what he's portrayed at. The age in the video that he's playing. And then he's got 2 little sisters, I would say. So about that age. So that's kind of when it was happening, and he was just saying I was too young, it was ridiculous, I guess. He didn't really understand. And I think he's just kind of saying it's not fair. And she obviously hides her drugs and she doesn't take them in front of the kids, but he can still see it in her eyes. And the fun of the high doesn't look fun from his eyes. He just looks at his mom and all he sees is pain. He knows it's if she's being happy and fun and energetic and stuff, he knows that it's only temporary, which sucks. So you're not really grasping the reality, and couldn't really understand and deal with these big grown-up issues that he's trying to deal with. And he's not about to forgive her because he's still seriously hurt and feels a lot of pain because of what she did and what had happened. He thought that time would heal it, but if time heals everything, then where's his mom? Time, there wasn't enough time to heal her, I guess. It's a sad reality. Unfortunately, I guess. She didn't really care about him and his siblings. And it was so selfish of her to kill herself and then let them get taken from her as well. When that happened, that was a bad moment. You shouldn't have let that happen. And it doesn't sound like he's kind of looking at her and being you weren't a very good mom, because of this, and this. This shouldn't have happened. But besides that, I still want you here. And so that's he's obviously very upset, it's clear in this song. So let's get back to the chorus. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us here? How could you leave us here? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Oh, hey. So again, he's questioning her behavior. Usually something a mother does to a kid and not necessarily the other way around, which again is sort of like role reversal. And how, he's kind of saying like, I was too young to be like in that position and be in that role and like know what was going on and like know right from wrong when you couldn't even tell me what was right from wrong, and you're making like these bad choices. An example, it's hard to do that in front of like little kids. I can, I guess I can only imagine, right? So verse 3, our last conversation, you and I sat in the living room talking about my music, and I brought you some to listen to. You started crying, telling me this isn't you. A couple weeks later, guessing you were singing a different tune. You took them pills for the last time, didn't you? They took you from us once. I guess they'll come back to finish you. I guess they came back to finish you. Crying my eyes out in the studio is difficult. Music is the only place that I go to speak to you. That I can go to speak to you. Sorry. So he's remembering his last conversation with his mom, and I feel like that kind of thing like usually like sticks out in your memory. So he was like telling her all about his music, and he was playing, her some of his songs. Like he was obviously like showing off and like, wanted her to be proud of him. He's obviously just trying to get some recognition, I guess, for his work. And then, he's, I guess like his words about like his struggle with his mom and like, how he, how his mom made her feel, or how he made his mom feel guilty and bad. And then, she was kind of like saying like, this isn't you. Like, like he's happier than this. And I think that was probably like the sad reality that, she was now seeing like his pain in his music and in his lyrics and being like, oh my God, like this isn't you. Like you're a happy kid. Like you should be fine. But he's obviously not, if he's seeing like so much pain in her and like that's like a part of his life. So he's kind of talking about maybe like all this misery and suffering that he's going through. And, like maybe she's kind of like caught off guard. And I think that that's, obviously something that she addresses. And then, she's crying. And then, maybe she made some promises that she was going to change or get better. But I guess, he says that, I guess, she forgot about that. And then, forgot about that tune, like forgot about the song that he played for her. And, probably something, not obviously this song, but something that was probably heartfelt and about his whole view of his mom, maybe. And, obviously she forgot about that and then went right back to the drugs and probably broke, promises again, and as addiction tends to just come back again unless you really are able to like stop. Yeah, because, if he's saying a few weeks later she died of the pills. And the pills took her from them and from the world, and he's crying in the recording studio as he like writes this or as he records this song. Like you can hear it in the song actually, like you can hear him crying and you can hear like him yelling and you can feel like the honesty and like the rawness of it. And I think that that's very like important in this kind of a song where like you're trying to be open and raw. It needs to sound like that too. And I think that him crying like on the song is like it's quite emotional, obviously, but like it's something that maybe guys aren't really open about crying in front of people and like to be like he sells a lot of albums and to be crying in front of like your fans, your audience, and your peers, I think is obviously something that's like oof, it's something that you don't necessarily want to do, but yeah, I think that this was like the best thing for him to like help get it all out, So, where was I? Yeah, so anyways, she ended up, obviously killing herself. And, he's crying and he's, music is the only way that he can speak about, his honest feelings about, maybe to and about his mom. I think that that's like, maybe his like way of, obviously being therapy. And it's kind of spiritual and it's not easy, but it makes damn good art. I'll say that much. Unfortunately, when like you have like that kind of pain or any like extreme emotion, whichever one, it's going to probably result in some you're obviously going to have to like come back to like get a bit more grounded. And like in that transition, I think that, and because of whatever had happened, that caused you to like get that way, it's a whole journey, to try to come back, and then you bounce back up to another emotion, and that's just how the world works. But I think that there are things that you can look back at, and like I think that that's just kind of what he's seeing and what he's taking away from this, and he's putting this into his music and his art, and like it's coming out, and this is like, it's a hit, but because it's so, people want the truth, and I think that this is so true to him. I think that's what's important. Yeah. So let's keep going with the last bit. It took everything inside of me not to scream at your funeral. Sitting in my chair, that person talking was pitiful. I wish you were here, Mama, but every time I picture you, all I feel is pain. I hate the way I remember you. They found you on the floor. I could tell you felt hollow. You gave me everything you had, plus your life to them pill bottles. Don't know if you hear me or not, but if you're still watching, Ma. So he's obviously still pissed, right? So it took a lot of strength for him not to scream in anger or in pain, like at his funeral, at her funeral. And she's still causing him pain, and, even in death. And the person, whoever's speaking, probably saying some nice words, he's almost thinking it's a joke and that there's nothing good to say. Like, he's so resentful and angry at that moment, in his, in his sadness, I guess, his grief. And even though, like, the pain, and even through the pain, he still wishes that she was there, because after all, she's still his mom, and there's still that connection. But every time he thinks about her, he feels, pain and hatred, and talks about, like, how, they discovered her body, dead on the floor, and how she, he knew, because he's her son, that he felt empty inside, and that's, why it happened. And they took pills. The pills took everything you had from. The pills took everything from you, and you gave it away to them. He's kind of saying that that's what happened, Mom. Like, this is what happens when you do that. And doesn't know if she hears him. His maybe like wondering if she made it to heaven or not. Like, maybe is she watching over? Like, who knows? But if she is, he hopes that she still watches over him and like sees his pain, and that her pain transferred to him, and like now he's suffering because of her, but like he knows that he can get over this and he can forgive her, but it's just maybe not yet. He's not at that moment. He's still pretty pissed off, but he still loves her. And then we have the chorus again. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us here? How could you leave us here? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Oh, hey. And then it's just sort of like why would she leave this way? Why would she do that to this and his family? And it's just kind of like a shitty move, I guess. I don't know if you can say that from ODing, from drugs. But yeah, I guess, especially when you have kids, like little kids. So yeah, then we have the outro. And sometimes I think about things like, when I'd have kids, I'm like, you won't be there, you won't be there for any of that, and I'll never get to see you again. Sometimes I wish I could have just called you. I wish I would have just picked up the phone. Wish you were here. I mean, you should have been there for us. You should have been here. Them pills got you right. Them pills got you right. I wish you were here. So, that's the end of the song. That's kind of more of like a spoken part. Sometimes he thinks, more of like a future, about his future, and, it's not going to include his mom, and she won't be in it. And she won't be there to see his grandkids, and sometimes he regrets not doing anything. He wishes maybe he had reached out to her more, or reached out to her even on like the day, not knowing, of her OD. He just wishes that she was still here and not dead. It's sad. It's very sad. And he's speaking to her, that she should be here, and he's obviously still very angry. Normal feelings, this is grief, especially like in these circumstances. Of course, you're going to be angry. So he hates the pills and he hates that she took them, but he still just wants her here. He just wants his mom, really, and he's just angry and sad, but more he just misses her, and just wishes she would be better. So yeah, I mean, it's a very heartfelt song. It's a very sad song. And this is obviously like his therapy, and so you're kind of getting like a glimpse into like his life and like into like his thoughts and his head and like his emotions and what's going on. And it's obviously he's dealing with a lot of things, as well as like the success and the fame and the growth and everything else. It's great and all like those happy things, but he still has like these moments of sadness when he thinks about like his mom, which is like pretty common, I guess. But this is really great that he's able to like use his art and use his poetry and his rap and to get out, his anger and his pain and to like work through that. And like I said, he's obviously not ready to forgive her, but he still loves her and feels for her and wishes that she was still alive. So I guess that's pretty much it. Let's try to end this with a smile and with a happy, a happy attitude. But yeah, this is a very sad and tragic thing that does happen. I'm sorry if anybody is in a similar situation. I think that sucks. My heart goes out to you. Yeah, I'm sure it's not fun. So yeah, next week I'll find something a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more fun for me to break down for you guys. If you guys, like I said, have any suggestions on any sort of like, maybe like something a little bit more like just like just a friend, like the Biz Markie one that I did, like maybe something a little bit more fun and lyrical, or goofy. Yeah, I'll see what I find. Yeah, so I'll see you guys next week for that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. I love to read all of that, and I like to see lots of thumbs up on my video. So yeah, thanks again, and bye guys. See you next week.